Welcome to the Holistic Career Change Podcast. Spoiler alert, we don't discuss conventional, linear, boring career change here. This is the place where we talk about finding an aligned career path that feels like an extension of who you are, where you get paid for being yourself. Forget personality quizzes, soul-crushing scrolling on job sites, and breaking your brain trying to find your why. Join me and many other career changers who've changed their career holistically by first defining who they are at their core and then using this blueprint to design a fulfilling career or business. We use the mind-body-soul approach, and we take into consideration the complexity and multidimensionality of all that you are and want to represent in the world. This is where purpose-led careers are born and built. I'm your host, Vilma Oseita. Let's go. Hi, friends. Welcome back to the podcast. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited for this episode today because today's conversation is one that I have been holding close for a while because the woman that you're about to hear from is someone who walked through my Holistic Career Change Group program back in 2023. So almost 3 years ago. And what she has built since then, honestly, just stops me in my tracks. Her name is Mokshajyoti, and she is now a sacred sound artist, a Reiki master, somatic self-expression coach, a kirtan singer, and a forest therapy guide. And she's based in Oregon, the beautiful land of Douglas fir and misty forests and countless waterfalls. But the beauty of the story is that before any of this, Moksha was actually an engineer, and which, as you listen to her share, might be hard to believe, by the way, but she was a scientist. She had a PhD in mechanical engineering. She had, and still has, I guess, bachelor's and master's in physics, and she was in this fast-paced career deep inside the corporate science and the tech world. And what she experienced inside that world is something so many of you listening to this episode, and those of you who are following this podcast, you have probably felt in your own bodies as well, which is many spiritual awakenings that personally Moksha could not ignore anymore, and the burnout and stress-related physical illness. And all of that was persistently asking her for something different, for something more aligned when it comes to her purpose, when it comes to her professional path. And I'm so glad that Moksha listened because she unraveled what had been held in her nervous system. And as a result, she came home to her voice, the voice that she now describes as a portal, sitting between the body and the mind, breath and emotion, inner truth and outer expression. And it's definitely not an accident that the name of her practice is Moss and Moksha, because Moksha, in her own words, means liberation. It's transcendental consciousness, the highest state a living being can reach. And that is exactly what this conversation is about. It's about liberation from the life chosen for us, from what we no longer wish to carry, from the masks that we have been wearing for too long. And in this episode, Moksha will be sharing her whole twisty and windy transition story from a PhD engineer to sacred voice artist, what that liminal space actually looked like, what it took to rebuild from a much cleaner, more aligned space, and what she has come to know about surrender and expression and embodiment and embracing her truer, more authentic self. You guys are in for such a treat. I hope that you enjoy listening to this just as much as we enjoyed recording it for you. Hi, Moksha. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Vilma. So glad to be here.
Yeah, we've been talking about this for a while. I was reaching out to you and we're like, listen, at some point I really need to see you on a podcast, but you've been on a journey. I feel like there was so much change for you in the last couple, I guess year and a half in particular, right? Last year was huge for you. So for the listeners, Moksha was part of Holistic Career Change Group program, and the first one actually. So she's alumni. And I feel like ever since she finished the group and, if you will, graduated, she's been on such a wild ride. And I cannot wait for the listeners to hear more about you and your journey and your story. So maybe we'll just start with you introducing yourself, the identity that you're in today, and then we're going to unpack this further.
Thank you, Velma. Yeah, it has been a while, right? Like, I'm still not sure where am I going, but I'm writing it. So I am Moksha or Mokshajyoti. My brand name's Moss and Moksha. And I call myself a somatic or trauma informed self expression coach. I'm a sound healing practitioner who brings in a lot of mantra elements in my sound journeys. And I do a lot of uh, kirtans and like some sound concerts, sacred sound concerts. And I offer Reiki, energy healing, and also forest bathing. And in general, like I weave in all these elements into the work that I do. And most of the times it will be one-on-one works, group works, facilitations, retreats, all kinds of stuff that I do. But there will be elements of all this weaved in together.
Beautiful. I love this. I love how you combine these different modalities and different elements in order to like support people and also just have fun yourself. Um, but I feel like that was not necessarily your journey a few years back, because I know that your background is in engineering. So that I feel like is very surprising for a lot of people to learn when they meet you now in this version of yourself, feeling so flowy and in the way that you managed to surrender, where I feel like your experience a few years back even was very, very different. And I love for you, if you don't mind, to share a little bit more how you got into engineering and what was it like for you to experience that reality. If you remember, because sometimes we just literally delete some of these memories.
No, definitely. I would like to share, but I have to point out your cat in the background is so funny and I love her. She just hid. Yeah, so definitely no. I very clearly remember everything. It's part of my journey. I mean, it cannot be separate from where I am at right now because everything is a learning, everything has its role. So I have to give it to that as well. So yeah, I mean, as for myself, I don't know what to again call myself, an engineer, physicist, scientist, what I was. But towards the end, mostly I was an engineer. So I have a bachelor's and master's in physics. Um, and I did my PhD in mechanical engineering, and then I worked for the tech world for 5 years before I totally took up a new and different kind of role. So I was in a very, very masculine driven environment. And that's when I met Velma because I was in a transition phase and I was kind of figuring out what is something that I wanted to do. So, yeah, I mean, a little bit about myself. Like, I grew up in India, pretty much a high achiever growing up due to different circumstances. I mean, I was good at what I was doing, but along with that, I have always been very creative, very much into music, somebody who never learned really by theory, but somebody who was very good at, like, even from my childhood, I was very good at listening and picking stuffs up. I would write poems, I would like draw, I would sing, I would dance. I was like crazy, but also like this part of me had to fit into the environment that I was in. Like, yes, I was great at maths and science, but there was a definite identity around that. And I was doing very well in my school, which kind of put a lot of pressure as well, along with the expectations of my parents, neighbors, everyone. Like, if you are doing well in these subjects, there's a certain way you have to be. And along with that, like, the little me always was confused. So I would dress up like, I mean, I there was a point of time I would love to like dress up like a girl, but there was a time where I was like, oh, but I have to survive in this world of science and math, and I have to be like the boys because like it has always been seen as subject of the boys and stuff. So somewhere there was this masculine identity that started creeping in without me even realizing. And also like the societal expectation, the environment that I was in, there was this, you know the embracing the feminine, like showing emotions. Even like growing up, there was like a lot of the environment was really harder, very strict, so showing up emotions was something not very encouraged. So with all that, somehow like I started developing this layers, and then I kind of even forgot who I was. I never even knew, I think. Unless like I would react in certain ways in certain situations without really understanding. And I think, and every time I would do something, I would like, okay, next step is gonna make me feel better. Next step is gonna make me feel better. Next step is making, yeah, but that kept on going until like I got my PhD, which is kind of like the ultimate that you can achieve in like as per the degree side of things. And well, so there was this part which always felt that I'll feel better internally. So I was doing great academically, everything was there, but still I wasn't. Then I entered the tech world where I'm like, okay, probably it's just the finances, because I didn't have that till now. And then when that was there too, then along with that came other stuffs. So that kind of started unlocking so much journey that, where is that real contentment? Where is the happiness? So that's where it's all, I started figuring out, started to understand. And luckily, I came across you, Wilma, after all the searching through. And yeah, it opened up a whole new world.
Yeah, I feel like it was such a new chapter. And thank you for sharing about sort of needing to forego almost your feminine side, because that was acceptable or expected in this world. And to your point, you used a very beautiful word, creeps in. It's almost like without us even realizing, little by little, we start like hiding those parts that are not acceptable in certain environments. And the fact that also such a good example, the fact that you were good at it, also sometimes that's what makes us choose career paths. So I'm curious also about, because you said, you kind of kept on changing the goals, right? When I finish PhD, probably I'll get a job, I'll have more money. That is going to be that dangling carrot that we keep on following. And yet with every step, you just realize wherever you go, there you are. There's always something that probably is not fully working, does not fully feel like yourself. Was that for you sort of an ever increasing feeling, or was it at some point it just crept in on you where like, I can't do this anymore? Or what were the symptoms somatically perhaps that you were experiencing when you knew that you need to change, you can't stay for much longer?
Right. So it kind of, it definitely started soon within a month of I joined my tech world job because of the environment, because somewhere inside like I couldn't really pinpoint, but I just knew this is not what there is, the environment is not the right place where I feel right energetically. So but still there I gave myself the time, like 5 years I kept doing things somewhere like which didn't feel aligned, but I just didn't know, I just felt that this is how adult life is. Because every time everyone says, right, like, you have this, you got to pay your bills, you got to like, pay your mortgage, you got to do all these things, and this is how adult life feels like. Adult life is kind of shown as something which is like filled with joy, just full of responsibilities. And that's how I have seen mostly most of the dolls around me, like especially like all the dolls like who I have seen around, most of them just felt like, oh no, children are the ones who are like joyful of life. But as soon as you get become adults, still life creeps in, right? Like, and you kind of lose that happiness factor, but that's becoming adults. But somewhere inside I am a person who's like full of life, full of joy, loves to enjoy. And when I saw every adult around me, doesn't matter where they were, how much they are earning, it's just like even the biggest of biggest position, even in the tech world, the discussions were only around stocks. The discussions only on putting the children in like the better schools, but nobody really felt contented. I'm like, okay, money is not giving any contentment. Even if like it doesn't matter what position they are in, the bigger they grow, but still the problems stay the same. There are problems like, where's the happiness? Where's the joy? So the discussions with others, like other adults, just around life, it just did not nourish me. It wasn't something I was enjoying. And I'm like, okay, right now I'm here. I'm in my late 20s. I'm hoping I'll have like a longer life, but I'm still not maybe not even halfway through my life yet. And I have to live a longer life in an environment like this, or something becoming more like this. Who will I be? And that started to create so much tension inside of me, that's what to life is. My body started to react. I was feeling well, of course, the work pressure's there. That's different, but a part of me felt so misaligned just with life in itself. Um, but is that what's the life like? I have to live like in a cage? Like that's what adulthood is. Living like feeling like I'm in a cage just to live here for like just paying the bills and just doing the things. And that just somatically started feeling so much for me to handle and started having a lot of issues with my health. I started having mental breakdowns, panic attacks. Like I went to multiple times in the urgent care thinking I'm having like something with my heart. But I just went there and it turns out I don't have anything but just had this stress. So that was a lot, and my body started showing up. Like I wasn't getting good sleep. I was having all kinds of stuff, like major digestion issues. um but at that time I wasn't correlating everything, but like when I was going through it, I just knew something's not right. And my body was responding. Like I was trying different things, I was going to work out, I was changing my diet. Nothing seems to like really make me feel good. And I was traveling a lot as well. And I live in beautiful place, Oregon, and I would hike every weekend because I just wanted to feel good, and nature was the only place where I would find that respite. But then again, that like the palpitations, my heartbeat just going like up would start. Soon the Sunday evenings will come. Like, okay, again, this wheel starts from Monday onwards. And so even though I was getting those minimal like exposure to nature, it would just reset back as soon as the Sunday evening would hit. My body would just shrink. I would not want to get up, wake up in the morning. And I would like to sleep late sometimes because I didn't want the day to end. So there were like so many of those things that I went through. So yeah, chronic anxiety became a very common thing. Yeah. So yeah, borderline depression, I would say, but I was still in my awareness. So yeah, but major anxiety attacks was something that I was feeling.
Hmm. Wow. I'm sorry that you had to go through that. And that is
Yeah.
not uncommon. Like what you're sharing, I hear that a lot, right? Even the thing, like, which is really weird sometimes because people don't really get it, but even the piece where we don't want to go to bed because we feel like we wasted or like gave away our time during the day and we felt so unfulfilled and not like ourselves. We need that time to come back to ourselves and maybe do the activities that make us feel alive or like ourselves. And that will kind of go into the night where we almost are rebelling against like a healthy self-care because we want to reclaim at least some aspects of ourselves. Yeah, so a lot of people I feel like who are misaligned deal with these symptoms, and to your point, it takes some time to connect the dots because some of them feel completely unrelated. Like I had clients who have chronic stomach pain, right? Like they have belly aches, and then the minute they quit their job, they disappear miraculously. There are a lot of these random symptoms where the body will always be communicating to us. So when you started realizing, okay, I need to shift something, you joined the program, maybe you're exploring options. Was it scary for you to consider something completely different, completely like leaving the industry behind? Or were you at the point where you're like, I don't even care where I'm going or what it takes. I need to leave this space. Like, where were you? I'm curious about that.
So at that point when I actually found you and connected with you, I wasn't sure actually what is it that I need, because I wasn't thinking about leaving the industry at that point. Honestly, because I just didn't know that I could do anything else, to be honest. Even though in the background I was working on different certifications, I think already a little bit, but still a part of me has had for such a long time been under different umbrellas. So it was something very unthinkable, to do something that's totally different where my degrees are not really in. Like, so at that point, I just was trying to, I guess, navigate through because I wanted to know what is it, because I had already switched a role within the industry, because initially it was more manual work, then I moved a little bit more to like people management, more like people, bringing people together, and like more desk jobs, less like on-site work and stuff. So aspects that I thought I preferred in my industrial role rather than where I was, but still I wasn't getting that. And then I was also looking at positions outside, but overall, like with my skill set and what I do, I could just literally visualize just with the job applications, it's just gonna be a different variation of what I do. And at that point, I wasn't sure if it's really the job role or if it's something else that needs to change. So that's the time I really wanted to go further holistically to understand myself. And one of my friends already was working with you at that time. So because I have worked with other career coaches before, it's not, but I just never
Oh, I didn't know that.
resonated. Yeah, a little bit, not much. I couldn't even pull through more than 2 sessions. I was out. So
You're like, peace out.
peace out. Like as soon as I have like the worksheet, I'm like, I'm out. I don't have more time to go through more worksheets. So
Yeah.
so I could never pull through anything else. So yeah, that's when I came across my friend, and she was already working with you, and she kind of had already like been seeing things, like she was kind of also in a place where in a transition. So that's what I think, that's the part where I came across you. And still I wasn't sure, like it wasn't comfortable for me, like even when we came across the blueprint. So there is a journey at some point, maybe I'll bring up like what happened to make that transition. That was also a very big step. So yeah, I wasn't sure, to be honest. I wasn't like, more than scary, I hadn't even thought that I was going to switch industry. I just thought maybe I'll do something in the side. I'll just, I don't know. I didn't even know, to be honest.
Yeah, but like life and your guides have had other plans for you. But I
Yeah.
feel like I want to acknowledge you that you stayed open, right?
Yeah.
We talk about this process a lot on this podcast. There is a blueprint process, which is very much worksheets and meditations and sort of blue sky thinking. And it really requires us to kind of like, I don't know, like leave all the experience behind and think boldly and dream of like, but ultimately, what would I like to experience and have in my career, and who am I, right? What are some of the aspects about myself that I enjoy? What are the things that I enjoy doing? And I remember, when I saw your chart, and I think at that point I was collaborating with Kat. So I think Kat did your reading, right?
Yeah.
The astrologer. And sort of when I remember your chart, I was so floored because it's such a chart of a creative and of someone who is literally, now that I have archetypal system, a performer. And so I remember that was such a jarring experience for me to see someone who's gone through all of this very sort of rigid career, very technical career, very masculine role, and see the chart of this like creator and performer. And you have Leo 10th house, which is the people who are on stage, people who are creative, right? And so maybe you can share then a little bit more. So when we saw the charts, I think during the process you started explore or going back more, not only explore, you went back to voice and music and playing the different instruments, because you had that before, but I feel like you just took it like fish to water. And I don't know, for me it was so beautiful because it really felt like a journey of remembrance for you versus transitioning into a new thing.
So it's funny that like when Kat had done the astrology, and she had mentioned somewhere that like, a lot of my work should be around voice. That's what will draw things towards me without like me having to put a lot of effort, because that's my thing. And that was kind of like, I'm like, that's not it. I was not ready to believe that. Like, even the part of me knew, but there was so much fear. There were so many layers around it, because I had, as I said, right, like I had been into creativity and music and like the instruments of my life, since I was 5. I think I just picked up a harmonium randomly somewhere, and that's when I did get trained. So I did get trained in Indian classical music growing up. Anyway, so those parts were there, but like in teenage, like when I was transitioning to my, like I was choosing around 16, I think I kind of understood that I was so much into the Indian classical music. I really started learning more about it at that time. So I wanted to really study it. But there was a lot of like resistance, of course, coming from a developing country. Like just making a living around music is very hard. It's not easy. And that's what my parents brought. Like they brought their adult perspective and they were really resistant towards me pursuing that. But me, I just took it really hard at that time, at that age. Like right now, when I look back, it felt like, of course, there was a lot of ego from my side involved. But at that age, at 16, and I wanted to do something, my parents were telling me to do something else, and we were not aligning at all. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to do what I'm doing. I'm just, whatever I'm good at, I'm just going to do it. And that kind of, I feel a lot of my work, like with that, I developed a vocal like block around that time. So heart and voice got blocked because it literally, I remember feeling crying so much and then my voice was really shrinked. And so that happened and I carried it through. And I remember that, like, every time, even though I have sang and I have used my voice, there was something which always felt so disconnected. And a part of me just forgot about it that, I can be in stage. And even though I just always thought it can be just as a hobby, not as something that I do. So I shrinked myself at that part and like subconsciously. Like, I have to be in this world. Of science and tech, and everything else will just be a passion, just a hobby. It can never be something that I can do mainstream. I'm not, number one, it just felt like I'm not good enough to do it. I think somewhere it felt because, there were so many belief system, I think at that time it formed. I'm not good enough. I cannot go past all the people that already are so good for myself to make a living out of it. And I think something like there were so many layers that came up with that, but I carried that blockage of voice in my heart all throughout. And so when Kat told, and then a lot of the worksheets that you had given, like while making the blueprint, I was really hesitant to even put it out that, that I can be a performer on a stage. Like, because I remember there were these conversations, like you asked me, hey, would you be interested in performing and doing concerts or something? I'm like, nope, not happening. I don't see myself doing that. And voice, not, I can't even talk fluently. Like right now I can hold this conversation. Like a part of me was like always thinking like whatever I'm talking, like even it's not about like English is not maybe the language that I speak at home. It's not about that. It's more about like what I'm speaking. Is it good enough to be heard? So I think there was a lot of this mental processing versus me being in my flow state. It was so disconnected. So yeah, that was the journey. Yeah, and it's so funny that now all I do is around that.
I wanted to say when you were like, when apparently I asked you if you want to use your voice in that kind of performative way, and you were like, no,
Yeah.
bye, I'm not
And
interested.
and one more thing that you asked me right now, which I kind of forgot to answer, is like, how did I make that transition, right? So there, after the blueprint process, it was kind of, I think it was 2023. I'm kind of forgetting the timeline, 2023,
Girl,
24.
same. I don't even know what year we're in. Let's assume it was the end of
Yeah,
2020
like
or 2020.
I
I don't know. I really don't know.
I think it was 2023.
Could be. Yeah.
I think so. Because
We finished end of the year. We finished
Yeah.
end of.
We finished end of the year, so there was a very much clarity around at least the blueprints and like those pillars that I am good at. Like, of course, things were not fully clear, but I was already working on different certifications in the background. But a part of me, there was so much misaligned. There was so much fear around quitting something that I have done for such a long time. It provided financial security, biggest thing, um, and like I have a house, right? And all this adult responsibility. So it's scary because because it became very clear that what I have is not another job. It cannot be provided by a job because I'm a Leo, and just doing a job which is not aligned will not work. I have to create something of my own. And that was itself, like, I loved the idea. It was very exciting. Along with that was so much fear. And I gave myself, like, I think we were wrapping up around end of year. And I told myself that, hey, beginning of 2024 is when I quit my job and I take up this new identity and new role. But just surrounding that identity, there was so much fear. Like, like being a healer or being like, yeah, I think at that time the healing practitioner was the more the side that I was leaning into. But like going from tech, like this engineer or that role, from a development engineer role, from a research and development engineer role, I'm suddenly like moving to this totally sounds like a woo-woo position, right? Like there was so much fear around being accepted by family, being accepted by others, being accepted. It's more than that. I think being accepted by myself was a big part of it. So it was all not aligning until 2024 January. So I told myself, end of December happens and I just go and quit my job. 180. I decide that, but then January happens. I do one session of my sound healing, but I'm like in that place where I'm aligned but not aligned. Like, I know this is I like doing, but I'm not identified with the role yet. My body started to react. Like I started feeling like so bad, like shit, like really shit. Like I just knew something's not right. I was having major anxiety. Like my body was saying, you don't belong here in a way. My digestion was a mess. And I actually I had to go on a major health, like I had a major health crisis, like really major health crisis. And I just couldn't work. It wasn't like intended, but I just couldn't work. And I had to take a leave from my work because my body just crashed there. So it was so many things, like I was dealing with a lot. So I had a major digestive and the GI issue. And now that I look about, there was so much serendipity in a lot of that, but it took me a while to get over it. But when I had to go on a job leave for a very long time without actually having to think like who will do what, who will take care of the finance, because it was a major thing. Like, I had to go to I wake up and I'm sick and I cannot do work.
Did you get paid during that time? Was it like a sick leave or you were not getting paid?
Oh no, I could get paid. So I got like I was grateful for that. Like I had to go on that insurance where like, there's unpaid leave, something like that. When I took that period of time to just take off, that kind of gave me clarity. When something happens to health, everything else falls back seat. Like, I can't even get up from my couch. I have to just lay down. I can't climb the stairs to go to my bedroom. So, and here I'm like scared about like who will take care of the finances, what will happen to the mortgage, what will happen to this, what will happen to that. But my body was just not wanting to do what I'm doing. So I had to give in at that time. Like, I surrendered to the universe. Take me wherever I'm meant to be. And at that time was that, I don't know if I still took up the identity, but it gave me a lot of space to just let it all go, whatever was holding me back. So my health crisis kind of was the major driving factor. And now I'm grateful for it. It took me a year to get fully recovered. More than a year, but yeah, it was something. Yeah.
That is huge. That is huge. Thank you so much for sharing and being vulnerable about that. Because to your point, like health challenges, they humble you. They humble you and they really rearrange the priorities and values that we have in life. And to your point, it's almost like it forced you to go through that like ego death over and over again to start like getting rid and kind of remove those layers of identity that you have built up over the years. You had no other choice but to prioritize self-care and rest. And the more you disconnected from that world, I think the more you started realizing is like, there's no way I can go back, especially when your body was so loud and so loving to communicate it so clearly that if we come back, it's going to be worse than whatever you think you're experiencing right now. So we need to make a change. And, I love I'll call them loud bodies that will talk to us and say like, this is harmful. This is toxic environment for us. And also, I feel like what you said so beautifully about your voice, which is your gift, but also it became something that was almost your biggest block and your biggest challenge, right? Throat chakra blocked, questioning when you speak, like intellectualizing what you're trying to say. And it's so funny how a lot of the times I find that broadly speaking with healers, the obstacles the challenges that we have to overcome usually becomes the medicine that we share with the world in the end. Isn't that so beautiful? That how it goes full circle.
Absolutely. Because that's where I feel like the most beautiful experiences come. Like even for me, like picking a niche was such a long time. You know it well. But
Yeah.
like, what better place to be, which I have worked through the most. Like, it's something I connect with. It's my sort of right now my livelihood, but
Yeah.
also it was one of the biggest part that was the pain factor for me. And it's not just me, like honestly, I have seen what, like there's other factor, maybe I don't know if it will come today, or like in general, like the generational aspect to it, because that also I have seen around me happen. And I think that there was a lot of fear factor, like, okay, if I don't do it now, what will happen? And then I'll become like that. And then all this, like the generations of the feminine, how much they have been impacted by voice. I think when we start to work on ourselves, it's not just us who we are working on or healing. We are basically like healing our generations, right? And like, of course, in Vedic, we call it karma cycle. Like we are kind of breaking the barriers of the karma, or in just like there are like so many other lineages which talk about like every line, there's like a seventh person who comes in who kind of breaks that cycle of the generational burdens. So
Yeah. Yeah. And also, I feel like a lot of the times when you do have quote unquote a light worker healer in a family, we carry just it's generation, but also ancestral and family and extended family. And we are those volunteers, unfortunately, who will take on what you just beautifully call a burden of sort of that collective trauma, right?
yeah,
And we are the cycle breakers. Ooh, I'm getting goosebumps. We're
yeah,
cycle breakers for
cycle
a lot.
breakers. Yeah,
Yeah.
me too. I got it.
Yeah, cycle breakers for a lot of what generation from generation, especially the feminine line, I feel like, especially now that we understand more and we see how it affects us.
Yeah.
And, speaking for women, using your voice, that reminds me of a dear friend that I lost. She was my age. I lost her maybe 5-6 years ago, and she had sort of throat cancer. And, towards the end of her journey, she wasn't spiritual. She was very much like grounded in 3D. And towards the end, I think she started opening up to like spirituality. And, I basically forced her to go to see certain spiritual healers. And some of them, they said, well, the reason that, and this is so unfortunate, and this is not to say that it happens to everyone, but basically the reason why she was the one who got that illness is because in her line of the sort of the maternal, the feminine line, literally in every generation, there was rape. There was rape and women not speaking, not sharing, not speaking up about it. And she was the one who cut the cycle, unfortunately, by volunteering to leave early, right? To cut the cycle, especially with the voice, right? Because that's what I think about throat chakra, voice, expressing my truth, not being afraid. That is so deeply instilled in our very DNA. And that's why I feel like the work that you do is so powerful and so healing for many women. Just being, I think, in your presence. Maybe you've had those experiences. Maybe you can share when you use your voice. What sort of, is there some sort of feedback that sometimes you get from people?
Yeah, it's thank you. First and foremost, thank you for sharing about your friend. It's a lot to break that cycle. And sometimes the one who breaks that cycle gets the hit too. Uh, yeah, yeah. But just sending good vibrations for wherever she is,
Yeah.
in the stars,
Thank
in the
you.
earth,
Thank you.
in the
She's a
forest.
badass. I'm sure she's somewhere in a good place.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so for myself, until I did the inner work, like I could not understand how much power I have, and I could tap into my power. I wouldn't say that it's also very long back. 2024, everything is 2024. So 2024.
It feels like 10 years ago, doesn't it?
Yeah, 2024 was such something. Yeah, so 2024, like I started offering the sound healing journeys. So that's where I mainly started my work, like Reiki and sound healing. So I was a little skeptical about using my voice. But, I mean, usually in sound healing world, not many people use their voice, only few do. And again, there was also a journey I did, like wherever I took my sound healing training, that itself also was a very big like a factor for me. They have been amazing, the work, the training that I received. So that's where a lot of unblocking my voice started as well. Like, because I was not using my voice in my session in the beginning of the year, but when I went there, like there's this small people who come into your life, like they will say these nuggets. And there's like, there was this open mic night and I never put my name. It was just no pressure. I just did not put my name. And I just love this person so much. He's like a secret guide who kind of he was. I was receiving a trauma massage from him, and he was also part of the this training. And he told me, my name currently is Mokshajyoti. That's my spiritual name that I've taken, but actually my legal name is Chunki. So while he was working, he said, Chunki, you have such a great voice. You sing so well. Why are you not putting your name in the open mic? And I'm like, no, there are other people who need more than me, I feel. It's like, yeah, but you need it too. Why are you just thinking about others? Just go sing something. So I was the last one to just go there and sing in the open mic night. Everybody had finished. I didn't have my name or anything. I'm like, I just went there and I just
Were you
went there.
nervous? Were you like so nervous?
You know what? The microphone and me in that stage is so me. When I'm in
Really?
there,
Wow.
like I have to talk, maybe now I don't know, but before if I had to talk, that was different. But that time when I went there, I just went in there and just called someone from the audience. Like that's a different energy that gets inside me at that. And I just said, hey, is there someone who can play the guitar for me? And then when they came in, I'm like, you should play in the chord of G. And then everybody just started clapping just when I just said that. And then I sang and everyone was like, oh my God, that was the best thing we have heard. Like I did like a little bit of like a semi-classical Indian performance, a little bit,
Wow.
And then everybody was like, I just love the queen energy that you just brought. And I'm like, hey, you do this. Hey, you do this. That's so me. And that, I don't know. I just feel that was very important for me at that point because something inside of me shifted at that moment that, it's okay to take up the stage. Like that's me. Usually I love it. Like I love space, but I always have been like putting myself behind to be like, hey, you need it. Hey, you need it. And also when you
Yeah.
are trying to more go in the healing practitioner, so something I feel like is very important is like we tend to put others in the back seat, but in the front seat and put ourselves in the back. But that's not how it should be. It should be all we in it together, and along with me holding my power, right? Like, so that's the part.
Yeah, and can I just say real
Yeah.
quickly about that? Sorry to interrupt you. It's so beautiful, and also I feel like because obviously I say I live in the archetype La La Land right now. I feel like that's particularly true for like performer or artist archetypes, where like because there are some other archetypes like a mystic or alchemist. They literally are designed to put other people first, but the difference with like performers or artists is that they are they are the medicine. Your energy, when you're in the flow, when you channel, when you sort of surrender, you become the medicine. Therefore, goosebumps again. Therefore, you taking up space or taking up that stage is exactly what is needed for people to experience the healing, right? So beautiful that you felt that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was important because so then when I came back, still I was using my voice little bit, but whenever I'll use the voice, that's when people started telling me that I should use it more. Because they feel connected more at that time. So that's when I started doing more of my practices. Like I started delving deeper into even my own thing, like just bringing the voice elements and removing all the layers, further deepening my work with, because till now I was just working around identity, but this was more about like embodiment of who I am and who I thought I was not, but rather who I am. And then I started using more and more my voice, and just with that started, I don't know, like that started becoming something that I don't other like. It started becoming a unique offering in many ways, and it was very interesting. The more it's more like the more I become myself, the more universe opens up. And there is a beautiful journey there as well. Like 2024 and is when I also met my spiritual mentor in India. It was a very important part of my life as well. because I think I was already in this journey where I'm already offering sessions. I'm using my voice. I did a session just in November where I had like 250 people in front of me, and I had zero stage fear. And I was like,
Wow.
wow, it's beautiful. Like every time I'll talk, like or a guided meditation, I was a little bit afraid. So I just decided, Moksha, you'll just close your eyes and behave that, and just believe that nobody's in front of you. You'll guide the meditation. But as soon as I'll start to like just sing, I'm just in it. Like it's not even me. It doesn't feel like me anymore. so
Mm.
so the 250 people, that was something really huge for me as well. Like and I had really severe cough at that time. It was funny, how universe like comes. I'm like, okay, when I'm going there, I'm not me. I'm not performing for anyone. I'm just bringing and channeling whatever universe wants me to bring this medicine to others, because I was chosen for this. That means I'm capable enough for this. So I'll just
Mm.
surrender myself and I'm there. I'm not going to perform. I'm just going to pray to my
Wow.
to the universe. So that was the energy. And a lot of people, like out of those 250 people, they came to me towards the end and they were like, oh, like they felt stuff. So that happened in November. So that was pretty much something in me that was very raw, like that experience for myself. Like if I think 250 people should scare me, but I was not. It just didn't feel like it's something that I'm performing from my. So basically, it's something that exists within you that is so connected with the universe, and unless and until we are connected to that source, it will always be performing from the head or being in the head. But when we
Mm.
leave that, shred that's we are going beyond our body. We are going beyond something, and that's when the medicine starts showing up. So that's when, like, the shedding of ego happens, because whenever I think myself as a performer, there's this hierarchy aspect that I'm doing something here. But right now, like, so slowly there has been, like, 2025 has been amazing. The voice, like, I now know that this is the thing that I bring in. And the frequencies that I don't even, I sometimes can feel, like, people say I'm really loud and big. I wasn't. Like, I was very very like narrow. My voice was very different. Like, when some of my close friends know, my singing style has changed a lot. Nowadays I don't prepare what I sing. It's just like most of it is intuitively guided. Yes, I do
Mm.
mantras and stuff, that's different, but I'm very much inclined towards intuitive. So even my sessions, they are like, it will be based on the energy that the room has. And I just let myself be. I'm not the one performing. I don't prepare. I just go there and I surrender.
And how
And
fun it is for you, isn't it? Like, I feel like a lot of the times we put so much pressure. Like that's the ego, right? Like when you
yeah,
were asking me if I have questions about this podcast, and I'm like, I just feel like I sent you some, and I haven't even checked them once because I feel like I'm tapping into your energy. I'm usually not like this, right? And I feel like you have that beauty, right, of just kind of let's go with the flow. And I think for you as a practitioner, how amazing probably it is to just experience whatever is happening, just like
yeah,
everyone else, right? Just like they're
yes.
experiencing.
Yes. So now it's just so funny that, like, most of what I offer, it's it's just like people just feel the energy what I am at. So always my intention is to go in the most cleanest way possible from my end. So basically it's not at any point I don't think, hey, I'm going to do this healing work, hey, I'm going to do this or that. It's always about what I have and what I'm carrying inside of me right now and how connected I am to the source. So
Yeah.
every day, my practice, the deepening my practices, connecting myself to the universe, is I'm noticing that, and just somewhere I'm just right now leaving everything. Of course, when we start doing the financial aspect, this and that comes, all that comes. But along with that, like, the more and more I'm just learning to just give into it, give into the surrendering part. And the more I surrender, I just see things happen around me, which I can't explain. My voice goes to realms which I can't explain, and it's directly correlated to how I have been in that stage. So it's a very vast field. I'm right now very much interested in the field of Nada yoga, which comes from the uh, Vedic lineage. There are not many very practitioners who do the authentic Nada yoga practices, but it's also very, very powerful. It's So it's the yoga of sound. So
Oh,
that's
I've
all.
never heard of it. So that
Yeah.
involves sounds,
Yeah,
not
so
air.
nada yoga, so it's like yes, so it involves sound. So the nada itself means sound, but again, the way the sound is defined is very different. Is because like the sound that we hear is a vibration when it strikes the surface, but actually it means it's just a vibration. So there is definitions of both the sound that you hear, stuck
Mm.
sound versus unstuck. And with like it's a very deep like there are different ways you can practice it, but the ultimate aim is to merge and unite with that oneness through sound. Like sometimes when we are fully in a deep meditative state, external sounds go away and you just connect with the internal sound without any external noises. So that's a feel. And it also incorporates a lot of Indian raga systems. It incorporates different mantras, but it also incorporates just sounds by itself. And I honestly don't, I love to bring in mantras, but I love to bring in the somatic element because,
Mm.
this ancient, like not just like this ancient sounds, they are very somatic. The sounds in them, they are like, now a lot of science is trying to like, they're just telling, okay, if you make this sound, it kind of taps
Regulate.
into your
Yeah.
regulates your vagus nerve, it regulates this part of your brain and this, that. So it's all somatic, because when you shape your mouth a certain way, when you vibrate your throat, whether it's from your belly, from your chest, from where you are doing and what kind of sounds, it connects us to the different parts of the consciousness that lives within us. And the more we connect, somewhere we also find our own frequency. So that's something that I always like to also talk about. It is like, the more like when I like in my practice, when I say that, okay, voice is a channel. It's the channel between your outer world and your inner world. So it's just a bridge. Um, and everyone has a unique frequency which nobody else got. If we can pick up a song, for example, somebody sang it, you can repeat the same tune, you can say the same word, use the same instruments, but it's not your voice. Your voice is just your voice. A lot of times people will try to mimic someone and all that, but you have got a voice. Like every one of us has a unique voice which nobody else can. There is no competition there. There is no competition there. Like five different practitioners can do the same thing, but people who are actually in that realm of receiving, they're only receiving the one that is required at that time, the frequency that they need, and it can only come from that unique one person.
I love that. There's so
Yeah.
much that I love about this.
Yeah.
I'm fascinated by voice as well. I've been in some trainings where they also, I think for some reason I was very surprised when one of the teacher years back, she said that our voice is the most regulating tool that we own, right? Like we don't need to go elsewhere. We can use our voice, hum, or, she would say childhood, like a lullaby, sing lullabies to yourself. Even that is extremely regulated. We don't even need to go like extreme or be advanced in anything. So I feel like I love what you're sharing. It's so interesting. I wish like we could go deeper in this, but I'm like,
No.
oh my gosh, I have so many more questions for
Yeah.
you. That's fascinating, but also like I'd love to ask you, because that's something that I feel like a lot of people worry about or ask about, is kind of like if we root it back into the 3D, and how do you start? How do you start offering sound healing or Reiki? Like, what was your journey? How much did you do like reach out to yourself? How much did the community find you? I'm curious also about the practical side.
Yeah. So of course, necessary, like, one is intuitively you can do it, but also always it's a good idea to already acquire the knowledge that's existing. So get your certifications, get to work with people like who already know something more than you. Try to find people who inspire you. Not everybody will resonate with everyone, but we got to start somewhere. So whatever, like, and also like knowing that whatever you are receiving or doing is not the ultimate, right? We got to start somewhere. Like, just this is going to be the toppest certification that I will receive. Like, I had that problem because I used to just dive right in, so I wanted to get the best, and I did also like spend a lot of finances. And well,
I
you did.
remember when we
Yeah.
went to like 3 certifications at once, and I'm like,
Oh my,
oh my goodness.
I know, but there is one of them which I never even completed, even though I spent so much money.
Yeah.
So now I'm understanding like how much what matters is like starting somewhere.
Yeah.
And of course, the rush is always there when we start off. That's part of the journey. There's no way to feel bad about anything. Just go at what pace feels right at that point. So one thing is certifications that helps. And also like if we are starting, just like I know a lot of times we are in that space where we really don't know if we are good enough, that comes in. So just first and foremost, like just practicing for yourself, like before jumping into offering it for others, I feel anything that we offer, we have to experience it ourselves, like receiving and feeling through it. If it we resonate with ourselves before even offering something, receive it multiple times, like being a receiver of that, become a lover of what you want to offer. Like only you
Well,
can offer something like most authentically if you have a real love for it. Otherwise it will just become another thing that we do just for the sake of it,
love
yeah.
that.
So
Become a lover of what you want to offer. That's such a great advice.
and then of course you have to do the work of reaching out, like just don't think what, oh, if people will, what will they think if I reach out, like we have to like cross that barrier, of course, like. And so that comes in. Before I used to put a lot of like, oh yeah, I'm a PhD who is moving into sound healing practitioner, so I used to look
Oh,
at it
really?
as
You would
like
still lean on your past
yeah,
identity.
yeah. I
Mm.
mean, the first yoga studio and stuff, like, that was there, but it slowly just disappeared. Now I don't even tell people. I don't even tell I have a doctorate. I'm like, yeah, I do, but it's fine. It's not in this field. I'm very new in this field.
Yeah.
So, so that, like, of course, I had to reach out to yoga studios to like reach out anywhere I possibly thought of. I could. I did that, and along with that, always what I'm now like I was very much into doing mode, but 2026, 2025, and I have started understanding that the more I'm embodying things happen in ways I can't explain. Especially like now, like I started as sound healing and Reiki practitioner, but now like it has diversified so much. Like I have offered multiple retreats of last year. I do kirtans, a lot of that kirtan singing. I traveled to Europe last year. And I offered kirtans in different places, sound healing at different places. I performed at different festivals. And along with that, also, like I do a lot of inner child work, a lot of this vocal embodiment work. But this is not something I had planned on. And then I did have a somatic coaching training. I'm undergoing somatic experiencing. So right now, everything is getting weaved into it. I'm leading a course called Divine Feminine Vocal Embodiment. None of this was planned. And then I do nowadays also, I'm very much heavily leaning on a little bit of intimate concerts. So that's more like deeply meditative concerts. Like I work with musicians and myself. Like I play different instruments. So I love handpan. I play the handpan.
Oh, I
And
love handpan. I'm
I
obsessed with
know
it.
it's such a beautiful instrument. Oof.
Honestly, like just the energy, the sound and the frequencies unlike any other instrument. It's
Yeah,
so
it's
unique.
so unique. So yeah, so I mean I started off as a sound healing practitioner, Reiki practitioner, but now I do all like I call myself a sacred sound artist. I still am finding the right words to describe myself.
It's
And I
hard.
also love to mentor guy, like a part of me just now understands, like as much as I'm a performer, I also do enjoy bringing in people, like so that's the part right now I'm trying to weave in. How can I do that? Because a part of me absolutely loves seeing others shine, come to their power. That's such a nourishing thing for me, like when I see people really tapping into their power, so feminine really like trying to just connect with that. So that's something also I am understanding deeper about myself. So there's like this small, like it's like a bud, like you spring the seed, and then small buds come out and come out, and then where it happens, which direction the tree will grow, the roots will grow, we don't know. The tree doesn't know itself, I believe. It just keeps changing, right? So that's what's happening. Like I'm just a plant still, like springing roots
Yeah.
and leaves in different directions. And so things I'm still like expanding, but right now this all elements are becoming so much more clearer to me. So the aspect of like a little bit of mentor, aspect of a performer, an aspect of the healing practitioner, and just bring a community weaver, all these aspects It's just coming up as in different ways. And also, opportunities come to you like when we just start putting ourselves more out there. Some unique opportunities come which we probably don't even expect. So just remaining open to like not, I would say, not being limited by definitions, not limited by your experiences, but just allowing yourself to be open to what universe gives your way, and universe gifts you in many ways when we are aligned and we are following. The serendipity follows through.
Yeah, because we come into this journey from our kind of like thinking brain, right? And that's what we were conditioned, right? I need to get a diploma, a certification in order to be qualified. And you were like very eager and quick with like committing to certifications and getting the paper. But really, your real, I feel like, learning started once you finished certifications. Of course, you learned a lot, but the true embodiment of what it actually means started after the certification.
After that, because that's when we start to know what is that we can offer, what is that people need. And there's another factor, like what they resonate to you versus what you think that you have. There's so much learning and growing. It's like a relational aspect that
I love that. I love the space that you're in. I love that you've been like almost like a full circle. And so much healing, right, that had to happen. And that's also so beautiful for me to see, like, just what journeys do, because we finished working together in 2023, and it's so cool for me to listen to like the journeys that you've been on, and also how beautiful how every phase, if we surrender, we will find that teacher or that person, right? Like that person who offered you to sing, like literally the universe will sprinkle and put these people along the path to support us with that portion of evolution, with that phase of our growth, which I feel like the universe has been supporting you with these beautiful people as well. So to wrap up, I'm curious also about, so you're mentioning that you started like sound healing and Reiki and kirtans now and kind of doing all cool stuff. You're bringing back more, I feel like, one-on-one work as well, right? And kind of working with a somatic and voice. Can you share a little bit more about what that looks like right now for those who might be like interested and curious?
Yeah. So I call it for now voice and expression embodiment. I don't know if still that's the right way to call it, but that's what I call it right now. It's basically what we kind of talked about, like figuring, like, so as I mentioned, like the voice is a bridge between our inner world and our outer world. So how we show up or how we express. And when I talk about like the voice and expression, it's not just about voice, it's just the language that you speak. It could be the language of movement, it could be the language of painting, it could be a language of anything else, anything that draws you. Like not everybody's language is voice. That's why I like to also use the word expression, right? Whatever is your language, whatever is your voice, whatever you are connected with, however you like to express to the outer world, how much we are able to bring in our authenticity in that. And that's the work I like to bring in. So the work is very much trauma informed. I bring in the somatic elements. We work with our body, we work with our sensations, we go deeper down, we go deeper into what we go into the inner child aspects, we'll go to the different shadow aspects, but along with that also there'll be a lot of the tools that I'll bring in. We'll have elements of different sounding methods, like I call them sound somatics, so there'll be different types of sounds. Some of them are my own experiential, some of them are my like from Vedic spirituality, some of them are just like the vocal toning practices and different types of practices. Some of them are just voice practices like the Western music practices. Some of them are Indian raga based, so it's an amalgamation of different sounds that will bring in. And but along with that movement, along with that just supporting tools, somatic tools to support one in their need. So it's a journey that I would like to, like, as of now, the intention is to offer it in a batch of like a 16 sessions, but at a pace that feels right for you. Somebody could just do it in like 3 to 4 months, 4 months. Somebody would need 6 months, right? About within a 6 or 7 months. And then we work through it. So it could be for someone who wants to just sing more freely, connect more to their frequency. It could be for someone who just wants to create more with more freedom, with more freely. It could be for someone who feels that they did not get a chance to express in the way that they like to, or someone who just says things. A lot of times we like to people please, because we have these aspects. So if somebody has that, or somebody has a belief system around that, where they are not willing to take up space, or they don't feel comfortable. Or
Mm.
sometimes it could be opposite way, somebody who had to be too loud, more than what they need to be, some just because to fit in.
Yeah.
Sometimes we just are more quieter. It's not always the loudness aspect or expressive access. Some people find more quietness as their space, but because of fitting in, they have to just be outward, but when they're more inward. So it's all these aspects, like if something, like, so we could work together to, like, find what is it that's more authentic to you, what is the expression that's more authentic to you. And a lot of it is, I call it as a generational work, because I do bring in generational element as well, because that's very personal to me. It's very personal to me. I grew up in India. I grew up seeing my mothers. I grew up seeing my grandmother, like, who didn't have those environment to just speak, who didn't feel they had the chance. And in that space, like, I'm someone who is like, ooh, la la la.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there was a lot of journey around that, but also a lot of like shrinking. So that
Mm.
is very important too. So that element also is something I like to bring into this work. Um, so yeah, that's a more or less, and also, like, as I mentioned, then I am a forest therapist, as like a trained forest therapist. So I love to bring in elements of the nature. So depending on the situation, I'll bring in different elements of nature in this work as well. And sometimes as needed, like, we'll support it by Reiki. We'll offer sometimes like sound healing a little bit, just to support the spaces. Like right now, I'm working with a group of women, which, like, where we are like going through. We are, I think, in week six or seven. We're running a little behind. Um, but like, we every session looks so interesting because it's based on how it is coming up. So there is a structure, but there's also flow, because that's what I
Mm.
like. I am someone who loves to have a little structure, but also a lot of flow element in it. So it
Yeah.
will always be about the person. It's not like it's based on what I think should happen for you. It's more
Mm.
about what I feel, where you are at, and we work in this flow together to see
Yeah.
what is. Yeah, so there's a lot of somatic coaching elements that will be, or somatic experiencing based, little dialogue based work, along with some structured elements, along with different energy work as well, and the sound based work, movement, and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, sounds like Candy Store for me. Like these are all the things that are so fascinating, right? Because you can tap into these different tools and experiences and education that you have. I wonder if this also could be for someone, I'm just thinking about sort of my client base of people who listen to the podcast. What I hear a lot, especially for those who are kind of entering this new phase of the identity, and it's very rare to meet someone like you who is like, oh, I come on stage and I'm like, oh, I'm home, right? Like it feels like, I'm meant to be here.
Yeah.
Usually it's the opposite experience. And I don't even mean the stage, because the stage is, is advanced, but I just mean maybe showing up on social media because they start a new account, right? And kind of showing that new identity. I know I work with a lot of light workers who are afraid to be seen. They're afraid to speak because, again, there's ancestral healing and wound around expression,
Yes.
or because we've been persecuted. Do you feel like that's also, or like I'm thinking of one girlfriend of mine who has a podcast and she struggles to own her fire. She has a lot of like, she has a third house in astrology in Aries, right? So it's very much like unapologetic truth speaker, but she's been so conditioned to like be people pleasy and not speak her truth that now when she's like finding her voice, she literally has like physical reaction to putting herself out there. Do you feel like that's the work that could help people like that as well?
Oh, I probably didn't say it right, but this is exactly the people that I love working with, because, like, the either like, am I too much? Or if I'm like, I'm afraid to be seen, or like, I don't want to be seen, or what if I'm saying is like more than what I should be saying, that's the part, like, that's not authentic to you, and that's the authentic part that I want to bring in and I love to work with, is like just being you, like making more you and owning you to be you, and how we can connect with that. So totally, definitely.
Yeah. I feel like, and that's so true, like with authenticity in this like AI world, right? Where we are getting AI agents and AI mimicking real people, right? And if we do not find that authentic voice, all of it just becomes like a bad copy of each other. And then
Yeah,
we lose the truth, we lose the humanness, I feel like, in ourselves. So I think finding our true authentic voice has never been more important than now. I mean, it's always important, but I think right now, because we're up against so many forces and circumstances, politically, economically, socially, energetically, where we need to be able to stand up and speak our truth. Because if we don't, we're gonna just like we will disappear. And I'm sorry to sound so dramatic, but it truly is a really tough time. We are in, in war times, literally and figuratively speaking.
yeah, it's also time of transformation.
Yeah.
Right, like the more and more, like every time, I think it's cyclical, it has been cyclical, like all the times when, for humanity, whenever we have found it to be hard, those are the times when true transformation has happened. And
Yeah.
I mean, this, I'm just very intrigued to see where we all go together as a collective, because I can see so much awakening happening. So now we are at this height of technology, but we
Of
are
this
craving the
connection.
human
Yeah.
connection. We are more connected than ever. Like a small news anywhere can spring, like, it can be like a fire.
Right.
But with that also, we are the most disconnected, the most disconnected. And we are, as a collective, I feel really, really craving for that humanness. And sometimes major shifts can't happen without like something really dramatic. I love saying that, drama universe loves drama.
I feel like, you know what? Yeah, sometimes, but I feel like universe loves drama when we are not listening, and sometimes the only way to bring us to the
That's
right
what I
path
meant. Exactly. That's what I meant. Like when we are not listening, and I feel we haven't listened for a long time, and
Yeah.
now this is the universe telling the hell, listen to me. You
Yeah.
guys, just
Or you
listen.
die. Or you die.
Are you done?
It's like wipe you out. No, truly, we are getting close, to that point. But
Yeah.
it's
Live
so
or
beautiful.
die situation. It's a live or die
Yeah, it's do or
situation.
die.
So
It's survival. But I
it's
agree with you. I've
survival.
never seen more sort of healers waking up as I see now. Obviously, I don't remember all of my past lives, but like, I don't feel like, as someone who kind of ushers healers into like this new kind of chapter, I've never seen more people really considering actual career paths and kind of dropping all of the ego and conditioning and be like, at the end of the day, yes, like you said, mortgage is important, money is important, maybe I have children, but like my fulfillment and mission feels so important that like I need to start with myself, like I need to start healing myself so I could hold space for others. And I feel like that's beautiful. So that's the kind of epidemic that I like to support, that where
Yeah.
we are all sort of waking up, but there's still obviously a lot of inequality. And now as Saturn moved into Aries, Neptune moved into Aries, I don't foresee the coming couple of years as like you and I, like people like us, right? We are going into communities, belongingness.
Yeah.
We want real in-person experiences. Like we are going, that's the future, us coming back to what you call beautifully the tribal being. But I feel like, with the Aries energy right now, there's going to be a lot more boundaries, a little more
Yeah.
disconnection until we can really be like, okay, as collective, we are in pain. We need to change things systemically. But it's a beautiful time to be awake. I always jokingly say that like us as souls, as volunteers who volunteer into the planet Earth at this time, we are, badass, crazy souls who want to really experience a big shift and support a big shift, and that comes at a price. That's not
Yeah.
easy, right? To hold
It's
this
not
energy.
easy. It's not easy, but it's also beautiful. I think
Yeah,
once we are in it,
yeah.
yeah.
On the
But
other
it's a
side, it's
journey.
nice.
It's a
Yeah, it's a
journey.
journey,
It's a journey.
and it never ends. Like
It never ends.
it never ends. You will
It's
continue. I'm continuing on my journey. Like
yeah.
it's forever evolving. Amazing. Is there anything else that perhaps we didn't cover, but you're like, oh, I really would love to share?
We have to be open to magic, open ourselves for the magic to happen in our lives. So we have to be magical at that time.
Magical.
We have to.
And I feel like we're always magical, but when we're so deep in conditioning, we don't know that we're magical.
We don't know
and
that we are magical.
We're like, oh, we're all magical.
All magical. We are just all magical beings walking this planet, this magical earth. And everything's magic.
Like walking each other home, we don't know what we're doing. And that's exactly how it's supposed to be, right? Just follow the gut, take the next step, and then you'll be surprised. And I feel like once you're on this kind of more alignment place, that's when you can really, really embody and experience that. Something that we used to read in books or see in movies. Now it's our life, right? I'm like, every day you wake up and you're like, oh, I wonder like what we will experience. Right. Whereas in corporate, it's all kind of like structured and you already know what to expect.
That could be someone's magic too, but
that is alignment for someone.
That's magic for someone to just the way magic feels right for you. That's your magic. There's no definition to the magic.
True. For that season, right? Especially
that for season, exactly. For that season, for that moment. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Moksha, for joining me, for sharing your story, for being vulnerable, for sharing your voice with people. We're going to leave all of your links in the show notes for those who perhaps are in your area, and also more about your one-on-one offer. And do you do remote sound healing or no?
So I do. So everything that I offer can be done or is done in person and like remote. So I have I sometimes will do offer like sessions, which is like remote sound healing session. The vocal, like the one-on-one sessions, they're like remote sessions. Sometimes I can offer like nada yoga sessions, practice sessions, which are like one-on-ones. And like everything can be done remote.
Yeah. I mean, it's nice I hope I will get to experience you in person. But at some point, because that would be like so magical. But so that is good to know that you also offer one-on-one, because I know some sound healing practitioners, they only do like in-person offers. So I think that's good to know for listeners of the podcast that you can do remote. So we're going to leave all the links in the show notes. Thank you so much again. Wishing you, again, I say that to every client or past client who joins the podcast where I'm like, listen, I want to talk to you like in 3 years. Because I'm sure you're going to be like in a completely different space because you go through this journey and iterations. So you're welcome to come back when you're ready to give us some part 2 on where you're at.
Awesome. Yes. Let's see when that happens after almost 2.5, like 24. And I've lost count of like almost 2.5 years. I finally am ready. I felt ready to come to your podcast. So let's see where the next journey is. Maybe it could be earlier. I have a feeling it will be earlier.
It could be earlier because I think like this year is on steroids. Like there's going to be a lot of change really quickly. So thanks so much, Moksha, again.
Thank you.
And to the listeners, I'll talk to you next week. Bye.
Take care. Bye.
Thank you for spending time with me today. If you enjoy this content, please make sure you subscribe to this podcast and leave a quick review to help us share the message of aligned work with the world. And if you'd like to learn more about how to find and transition into your very own purpose-led career or business that feels like getting paid for being yourself, make sure you check out the episode notes below. Have a wonderful week.